What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Oblivious Podcast, the show that practiced social distancing before it was cool. I'm one of your hosts, Jay Johnson, joined as always by He Only Eats Chicken Wings, Dustin Stokes.
What's up, man?
Your boy, the one and only, LaQuinza, Gooby Goob Morgan.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
And DJ Ray Jack Hand himself, Chris Rowland.
Hello, everyone.
Coming up on today's show, we have politics. We're talking the current political affairs in regards to the 2020 election. That's Joe Biden, that's Bernie Sanders, there's all the other goons out there. We'll talk about their kind of policies, what they're up to, what we think about it, big yay, big nay, all that good stuff. Also, is Mitch McConnell Satan? All that and more coming up on today's show. But first, let's check in with the host. How's it going, boys?
It's going great, my man.
As good as it can be from quarantine.
Yeah, it's good. Everybody on the brink of the apocalypse, so I think it's going pretty good.
Everyone has a different counter. So we're recording this right now. That's what, March 15th?
Right.
No, March 17th. March 17th. So give or take when you recognize it. St. Patrick's Day. We're like, I don't know, anywhere between 3 and 5 days into the self-quarantining and social distancing of, specifically in our case, the United States. So yeah, we're all kind of shut in. All the people who have like outside lives and friends are going crazy, but all us nerds with shit like this to do are real happy.
It's like a long overdue vacation for all of us, man.
Well, yeah, with a little bit more stresses, but for the most part, people are kind of like, can I just be at the house?
Yeah, like that's cool. It's exactly what we've been waiting for years.
Trying to catch up on the video games,
exactly.
The podcast, the comics, all that good shit like that. So, yeah. I ain't too mad, but I'm still working. So we'll see if that changes anytime soon.
Oh, it will.
But what's up, boys? So today we got the political podcast. We'll get a quick heater, a little primer. We're doing the primaries. We're past Super Tuesday, Big Tuesday. I'm in Illinois. I just voted myself. Ran up in there with this Corona thing happening. It kind of was pretty simple, but
risky business.
Was there any adjustments to the polling process due to COVID-19?
Nope. I mean, the polling people were
because there was all that.
Gloves.
Did y'all? I'm sure y'all saw the Ohio stuff. It was like back and forth. Like I didn't really look into it. I just saw it on updates, but it was just like it was postponed, and then it wasn't postponed, and then it was I don't know.
They postponed
it'll be
right
interesting
before
to see
this
how
morning
this stuff
it opened up. I want to say.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this stuff affects that kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they postponed kind of the final minutes of it, essentially right before it was supposed to open up. And then I think the next group they've postponed to July or some bullshit like that. So yeah, it is kind of weird. I mean, for clarification, in case you really are on your own island and not actually, well, quick segue. Did you guys see that? Oh man, Jared Leto was in some kind of meditation in the fucking desert. He comes out and he's like, "What the fuck is happening?" So if you're Jared Leto listening to this podcast currently, COVID-19. The coronavirus of 2019 to 2020 is happening, and it's officially a pandemic as of yesterday? Yesterday, I want to say 2 days ago. 3 days ago. It was on Sunday. Yeah.
Well, Trump said he thought it was a pandemic a month ago, 2 months ago. He knew all along. He said he knew. Well, officially, it's a pandemic, so we're all around the world are recognizing. Self-quarantining and, like I said before, the social distancing. So that's what's happening. So we're kind of trying to cope with that, and the roads are clear and everyone's astir. So that's what's happening.
Not in Memphis.
Fun time.
Is it really just jumping off still? Everything's going as normal?
Yeah, the past 2 days we've gone out to get groceries and whatnot, and it's hopping. I mean, there's people out.
How the stores and the counters looking? Everything's still full?
Same in Jackson. Oh, no.
Same in Jackson?
I mean, Lauren went and got some stuff from Kroger. It was some of the shelves were just barren.
Yeah, we went to Trader Joe's. They didn't have any meat. Got a lot of vegan stuff. It's been pretty good.
Okay, let's go.
It's been pretty good.
No, I liked it. We had vegan tacos tonight. Had vegan tikka masala last night. It was good.
Bro, that's what we be cooking, bro. That's that life, fam.
No, I cleaned up at Trader Joe's. There's plenty of stuff for me there. There were obviously aisles that were empty. I was in Jackson a couple weeks ago, right before my sister's wedding or whatever, running an errand. It was hopping. People were all out doing stuff. But in Jackson, it was I was in Flowwood, and it was just people just out shopping, just it didn't seem like today was like people getting groceries, but in Jackson it was just like people got school canceled, and so there's a ton of more people in town like doing things.
Yeah, I was gonna say because last week was spring break. That's
right.
So the kids have basically got 2 spring breaks essentially.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I was gonna say in Memphis, the only time I've ever seen people is at the grocery stores because like my commute to work and everything has been just dead. Like nobody's on the streets.
Really?
Nobody was on the streets this weekend, like in town. So I don't know.
I guess just
I think
Midtown.
it's already.
I don't know.
Yeah, it might just be popping over there, but downtown's pretty dead right now.
Word.
Man, it's so weird. Yeah.
To clarify, I am quarantined in Memphis right now. I'm not in Meridian. So.
Okay, 10-4. Thank you.
It's squadding up.
The Jewel down the way, the little grocery store, we'd never seen it that packed before. The parking lot was full. All the shelves are empty. Yeah, so
it's how's that beer cavern that y'all got?
Yeah,
though?
No, everyone's talking about it. Like literally everything you overhear, like it's everybody. Like, and this was like this. I mean, it's been like this, right? I mean, before it was like blowing up. I remember sitting in a coffee shop just doing work, and I was in there for at least like a good 4 or 5 hours, and like literally every single conversation I heard was about it. So it's definitely it's a real thing, obviously.
Well, it's weird, Stokes. We either pick the worst time or best time to stop drinking alcohol because we haven't even been to the little beer place, so we don't even know.
We picked up a bunch of liquor today.
Yeah, we've been kind of just trying to save money a little bit, ahead of this. Not because of this, but just, a few weeks back. We're like, no, we'll just stop drinking. We spend a lot of money on alcohol. It's cool. And then now we're kind of like, man, was that a bad idea?
We started to go out on Saturday and we like walked by 2 people in masks on the street and we were like, you know what? Let's just make car bombs at the house. Like, let's just, we can celebrate.
This is a hard pass.
At the house.
And that was the straw, right? Because everyone told us to stay at the house, but then everyone who's like not sick or whatever was like, oh, let's go fucking party, man. Let's have a good time. And then they're like, you know what? You guys are children. Shut this shit down. Stay your ass at home.
Yeah.
None of y'all are Irish anyway. Please go home.
Please go home. Yeah, they canceled our painting of the river that we always do every year here in the city. So that's a thing.
Yeah. It's good that river canceled the St. Patrick's festivities in Jackson. I know it's always a big deal.
Yeah, they canceled that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were St. Patrick's Day until like 5 o'clock.
Me either. Until like about 15
I was like, what?
Ago.
But, good. I wasn't going to go nowhere.
Gotta do it.
Parade a couple years ago. It's a mass of people just does something to me.
Okay, so that's what's happening with this, the coronavirus that we're living in. But also we got some politics happening. So we're in the midst of the Democratic primaries. We got, I almost called him Joe Budden.
Hey, Joe Budden. Let's go.
I wish we had Joe, but we got Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders. Give me a quick talk to me about that, Warriors. I want you to lead us off. Talk to me about, Joe. Talk to me about Bernie, what you like, what you don't like. What we feeling about it? What's up?
Love me some Bernie, first off. The only thing, what I wanted to know at the beginning was like, I was curious about everybody's like involvement. Like mine is like, I think I'll probably watch and like read too much stuff about it. Cause like, as I'm like in my office, like first hour of the day, I usually, drink some coffee, going through emails. And then, next thing is I scour Reddit, for, political articles and I like, CNN, try to catch up on everything. But like, as I'm reading it, like, it's just like some stuff I'm like, man, this would be like tight for it to happen. But then like other stuff, like, oh my God, like it just like infuriates me. And like, I upset myself, like reading too much like political stuff. So I think I might just start cutting back on that a little bit.
Well, that's a good way to start, too, because I feel like I kind of get in those ruts, too. Or not ruts, but in those spells. And I'm definitely out of one of those right now because I'm an obsessive listener to NPR. And,
right.
That was just my thing, every time before work, every time after work, any even sometimes within work, if I could kind of sneak away, I was listening to it. And, as we all just know as an adult to listen to the news, it's death, doom, and destruction, right? It's all you get. It's all the bad stuff. It's all the hard stuff. And yeah, that kind of does take you out of it. So as far as your notes here, as far as kind of our involvement, I'm definitely on the on the outside looking in right now. And I'm kind of leaning on you guys to kind of help pull me back in. I think that's going to be good for us to have these talks and kind of shake me back into, I guess, I mean, I do care, but I'm like what a lot of people feel, right? I feel kind of put out, as it were, and I don't like that feeling, but at the same time, the system, as it were, hasn't really proven itself otherwise. And so I'm hoping that, maybe we can make that change to where, I don't feel that way.
Right. All right, I got you. All right, we got you. I mean, we got a lot of stuff going on. Ray and Stokes, you guys want to give us your involvement, or want to?
Yeah, I mean, I'll jump in. I thought one of the craziest things about this whole thing was the fact that the Democratic debate was going on Sunday, and nobody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about coronavirus, and I was like, man, if that's not like indicative of what's going on right now, I don't know what is. But yeah, it was, and I think it's wild because if you missed it, you missed an interesting debate in that. There's a whole lot of stuff that was said in there that was probably not very true on one of the candidates in Joe Biden. Man, he was saying a lot of stuff that I was like, no, I don't think that's true, man. I feel like you voted the opposite direction of that in the past.
He did. I mean, but, if you're not lying, you ain't trying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's part of the game. But I mean, I don't know, man. It was just kind of like a wild debate for a lot of reasons. One, they were like 6 feet apart. Like another, like the crowd was empty, so nobody was like yelling and cheering at all their points. It was just kind of like you'd finish making your point, and it was just like dead silence. And it was like, all right. I don't know, man. It's just it was a weird primary season to begin with. Just the way that it all kind of like built up, and then how it very quickly devolved into like a 2-person race, like seemingly overnight. It's just been a weird build up, and it's just a weird year. I think that this just throws a wrench into everything in terms of, the coronavirus stuff, just making everything that much weirder. And that it's like, again, like we're talking about, it's all anybody's talking about. It's all that's going on in the media. And it's like, I think that we're losing track of like the actual issues to a degree. Now, I think that coronavirus is like bringing up some of the issues and like exposing some of them and bringing them like into the spotlight. But on the other hand, there's like a lot of stuff that's just getting kind of swept aside because it's frankly just not the most important thing right now.
Right. Coronavirus.
Y'all remember like the thing we say a lot in Star Wars to like justify things? Well, okay.
Space magic.
No, but like when we talk about forget everything you know.
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes do it like Marvel movies too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Well, I'm getting a lot of that same type of like vibe from now. Like we talked about doing this political podcast kind of like at the beginning. Like I think we had heard of COVID-19. Coronavirus.
It's been out there for a bit,
yeah.
But like it had not turned up. It had not become real yet when we first talked about doing this episode. And so like, it's just like everything's so different now. Just in the period of a few days. Like Stokes, like I think I completely agree with what you're saying. It's just like, no, I didn't watch that debate. Now, granted, I also will disclaim that I've kind of been under a rock for the past week with my sister getting married, so I'm also not super caught up on a lot of the things going on, but I have been catching up because the majority of my time I'm spending researching COVID-19 or coronavirus and like the developments with that, and also, looking into Joe and Bernie, but I don't think any of us I think we would all agree that, that's... Like you said, Stokes, it's kind of been taken aback. Everything's taking a back seat to this right now. And I think with, and I like the fact that we are like pushing through, and we're gonna make we've got to keep talking about this, and we're gonna talk about the race and all that kind of stuff. But my question and kind of how I feel about all this right now, I guess, is what's gonna happen with the race. With like we've already talked about primaries being delayed or what have you. Who knows? Like, we just don't know what's going to happen. Is Trump going to say, it's not going to be a fair election, or either side really going to say it's not be a fair election because of the circumstances, like all these sorts of things where my brain can just kind of, as I'm thinking to myself, what's going to happen and all these things as this situation does, get worse as we all expect it to do so. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess all I'm trying, it's just hard. Just the idea of talking about it right now is just all in the backdrop of what we're going through right now. And I also agree with you, Stokes, that it's going to expose a lot of things, and maybe, what people think now and what people think after we go through this, this virus, this pandemic, this situation, and come out on the other side, what are we going to look like? And I think that's what I've been spending most of my time thinking about, specifically on the candidates. I don't know. I don't have, I guess that's what I'm focused on in my brain right now. And so I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to kind of delve specifically into the candidates when my brain is so caught in where we are now. If that makes sense.
That's not the end of the world, because neither one of these candidates have really changed who they are in like the last few months.
Sure.
I mean, like you're still getting pretty much the same thing from Joe. You're still getting the same thing from Bernie.
I did see something about Joe or today, maybe, or something about him. Maybe one of y'all shared it about the student loans.
Yep.
Him wanting to forgive a certain amount. I don't know the specifics. So, I think we'll continue. It'll be interesting to see, like, what policies Joe is going to adopt of Bernie's, and obviously Bernie's been the same his whole life, so you don't necessarily expect Bernie to compromise some of his policies to be more centrist, as Joe wants to be more, I don't know, to the left, to gather support or what have you. But yeah, that's kind of my whole point, is like, not only is it just them kind of like competing with each other and then going to change and, make policies that will bring in support, but it's all, it's just all, what is this situation we're going through going to influence within their policies? And I think that's kind of the most interesting and, I guess, wait and see where I'm at right now, and like kind of viewing it. It'll be who knows what's going to happen right now. So,
I mean, you can bet it. It's kind of weird because we're all doing this at the exact same time, especially in this last few days, like you said, Rage, really kind of catching up to it. I mean, this has it's not something that just kind of came
every
up,
day is so new,
Yeah, it's definitely accelerated pretty quickly. So, I mean, that's even an opportunity for them to kind of make a stance and at least say some things that could kind of help the mind of the public to to kind of get behind them. So there's definitely an opportunity there, because it's a lot different than it was when they had that debate. So depending on what we do as far as exposure to them and exposure, for the voters to get out there and interact, you can kind of maybe hopefully see them putting out not just words and not just vote for me kind of thing here, but actually plans for action. And another thing too, man, this is such a polarizing time as far as politics go. Obviously, it's one side versus the other, and we're dealing with something that that doesn't have a side.
Right.
We're all here. We're all trying to figure it out. So more than ever, when you talk about politics and what you really want from it, whether if you're on the right or your left, you want true bipartisanship, and this is something that can actually galvanize us to want to make that happen. So it'll be really interesting to see if we kind of come together, or if it's, I have my promise, you have your promises suck, and then, we're just kind of where we are again.
Right. Did you guys see the new episode of John Oliver?
Negative.
No.
I recommend you all watch
enough, and I kind of heard.
No, I know, but that's fine. But like, it's just, he recorded his new episode, and with no audience, not even in the studio. And he did it exactly how he does it, with no audience and there wasn't any laugh track or anything. It was still funny. It was obviously I'll use the word, it was a bit sobering, to watch like I watch every episode pretty religiously, just to see that. And then at the end, he did kind of give this plea of, kind of what matters of just like supporting each other. Cause, obviously with Trump and everything, and I know we're not here to talk about Trump necessarily, but just how we are kind of on our own in this, with the obviously seems like our current administration is not the most organized and not doing very well with what's going on right now, to put it lightly. And so, we do kind of have to rely on each other right now. And so the reason I'm kind of going to this is what you were saying, Jay, of the rhetoric of the us against them type of attitude is such a obviously common thing in politics and whatever, and getting their points across, and it is a fight and all that stuff. And I'm not necessarily saying that is inherently wrong, but at the same time, in the current climate we are in, that's, in my opinion, kind of the last thing we need right now. because whether you agree with policies or not, a lot of that is kind of in the process of, if not already, being rendered less significant. And what's more significant is us like kind of sticking together and making sure we're looking out for each other. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's obviously to me the most important thing, the priority, and what I want to see from candidates in their rhetoric and the way they talk to each other. Like, I don't want to see divisiveness. I don't want to I don't generally want to see that anyways, personally. To each his own, but especially now, I think, this is obviously not a time to divide. So I just hope, I guess, and what I'm going to be looking for going forward with Bernie and Joe is what is that going to look like for them, for each of them, and how are they going to? They're still in positions of leadership. They're still going to be asked to lead, even though they're not president or whatever. It's going to be very telling, I think, for each of them to how they go forward, how and how we go through this the process and going through the primary at the same time. So, yeah, I guess it'll just be interesting. So,
dope. I mean, I agree with you. But like that's the thing. Like when, when like the way the party system is set up, man, it's like whoever always has like the most like money support. Like it don't matter how many like people support you. Like it's always gonna come down to like money, man. Like that's been like the theme. Yeah. Is like capitalism gonna always drown out the little person. Like it doesn't matter if they like got like the greatest plan that's like helps everybody, or it's like the best thing for like every individual, but it's gonna always be like it's gonna always come down to money. So like that's why, like to me personally, like the 2-party system, I'm not a fan of.
It sucks.
Like it's so garbage. Like I really just want them just like everybody just have a primary at the same day. Like it'd be like a national holiday, and then you just count the votes up, bam, just like that. Because the way that momentum work is like it like just leave people out. Like Elizabeth Warren, like she should have had, should have won it. Like I'm not gonna say hands down, but Joe Biden never should have been on second place. Like no way.
And it's like, so situational, right? That one endorsement Joe got just changed everything.
Right. It's like a fucking snowball.
That endorsement didn't have to happen. That was a thing that happened, right? It's not. It was not planned, or like whatever. Like it was never, predetermined that was going to happen and affect. But that's what I agree with you. And it's like the 2-party system, and also just like how I was talking to someone about this the other day of just like how people are just like, well, this is how it's going to be now. Like like people are going to predict this far out that this is going to happen. Like people are already saying Joe's got it, right? And I'm just like, nobody knows. Like nobody knows. Like and I hate anytime someone says like, oh, this is what's going to happen, because y'all said the same thing a couple of weeks ago about Joe being out of the race, and now he's the win. Like it's just, but this is not the first. Like it's just a cycle of this over and over. Like it's gonna happen. Like oh shit, and that's gonna happen. Oh shit. Like how are we not, just kind of understanding that like everything is fucking fluid. It's like it's all a process, and who knows? It's like no one knows. Everyone said there's no, a lot. I won't say everyone, but a ton. I feel like the majority in 2016 had it going one way, and we all know where we are now. So it's like I just don't understand. And I especially in this time right now. I mean, I have a lot of issues with the media rhetoric and the sensationalism and like all the sorts of things, and it kind of all falls into the same boat of like being divisive and polarizing, and obviously the media has more of the kind of weight to shoulder in the sense of like sensationalism and making sure people are well informed, and and I know look, it's a fine line. I want to also give them some grace, I guess, of like because it is such a serious thing, it needs to be serious, but also we don't want to stoke panic, and also we don't want to do certain things, but it's tough, and I just hope from a media and candidates perspective, again, just echoing that we are being more thoughtful and authentic and just truthful in the way we're saying things, and not try to sell ads, and not try to
money?
Gain donors, make money. Yes.
Well, I think the real challenge.
I think that's going to be very obvious in this situation if you're trying to do that or not. So that's all I was going to say.
I think the real challenge will come with, not just making these issue changes that'll come out of this a temporary thing and making them more of a permanent thing. And I'm not saying that we need to be giving everybody a grand a month, every month always. But I am saying that there's a lot of this issue has exposed a lot of the inadequacies within our system, and whether it be healthcare, whether it be, sick leave, whether it be whatever, whether it be, the inadequacies with how our government has responded by providing bailouts rather than provide aid to its citizens. Regardless of what you want to talk about with this, I just really hope that it leads to long-term changes. And I think that, we talked about some of that, and that I personally think that the Democratic race is pretty much over at this point. I mean, we have Florida and Illinois are voting today, and both of those have already handily gone to Biden. Yeah. I think that at this point, Bernie's in it too. And he even said as much the last time he gave a press conference last week when he said he was staying in, to say, hey, I want Joe Biden to answer some tough questions, and I want him to have to basically adopt some of my policies, or at least adopt the idea of some of my policies, because regardless of whether you want to call Bernie radical or whatever, a lot of the things he's fighting for are human rights. And Absolutely. At the end of the day...
but that's radical, bro.
I know, it's radical.
What?
It's so radical.
Human decency? What?
Yeah, it's an insane idea, but all the same, I think that you're seeing him being pressed by Bernie, you're seeing him being pressed by Elizabeth Warren and a bunch of other people who are saying, hey, you're going to be the guy at this point, most likely. And if you are, we want you to go up there and guess what? If you come out in the year of coronavirus and say, yeah, I'm not going to do anything about the healthcare system as is, that's not going to get you elected, bro. That ain't going to fly. You got to come forward with some positive change. And I think that hopefully, kind of like I was saying the other day, hopefully what we're going through now, this epidemic and everything, is just kind of the darkness before the dawn, as it were.
Right.
Shuts out.
No, I hope we learn something, right? I just hope we learn, we're going to go through this. It's going to be tough. We're going to need each other, all that. But, when we come out the other side, hopefully we grew as a people, we didn't just, survive and move on and just go back to the way things were. There's going to be a lot of things happening that we need to pay attention to. And, and everybody's eyeballs will be on it because it's affecting everybody. And it's, I just hope people pay attention and just as a human race, people just kind of, we grow, I guess is the best way I could put it at this point.
Well, that's a good segue, Stokes, to kind of the first big, I guess the second or so kind of big point. We don't want to put Bernie in the grave just yet, but probably more than likely that might be what's going to happen here. And with that being the case, trying to transition and think about things differently. And I'll throw this to you first, whereas you can kind of lead us off with it. Is Bernie enough? Can Bernie? Is Biden enough? Can Biden do this? Can Biden? Are his politics good enough for us? Will they shift? Will it bring people out? Is he more than a meme? Or is he just Barack Obama's homeboy? Does he have it?
No, that's it. He's Barack Obama's homeboy. That's it. This thing, I don't believe in. Not that I can say he can't do it. Which I don't want to be that dude, but the support and just the people that support Trump, bro, they're 100% in, bro. What's that guy's his name? He's on the Daily Show. He's the taller Caucasian fella.
I know you're talking about. I forget.
I saw he went around a Trump rally, one time talking about he was asking him about the was it a Mueller report, and they was just talking about his president. They didn't care if he was guilty or not, but it was well, did you read the report? I was no, I don't have to. I know he didn't do it. It's bro, but did you read it? And it's no, I don't have to read it. It's bro, those people, they're just I'm here. I don't care about your logic. I'm not saying they all bad people. But I just, the age that we live in, you literally have a computer in your pocket. Just look up the facts, bro. If something don't sound right to you, look it up. You know what I'm saying? Use your own judgment, get the facts. But Joe Biden is just, I don't know, man. I just don't think he's hard.
He's not exciting.
Right. He's not exciting. He's not I'm somebody hardcore. You're going to come here. I want some shit that's going to help me, help my community. You know what I'm saying? And he's gonna change, like not the world, you know what I'm saying? Like just help the people who need it, like the vulnerable people. You know what I'm saying? The people who live, like I see it every day, paycheck to paycheck, man. Just like, and he's not gonna do that, you know what I'm saying? Because he got big money in his pocket, and they gonna like sway the votes, or you know what I'm saying, sway the bill the way that they want them to be swayed. And like that's why I love Bernie. Homeboy cannot be bought, in which like it's ridiculous
to a fault almost.
Yeah, he's like, no, bro. Like it's almost like a video game. You know what I'm saying? Like it gives you like two options. Like I know, I mean, I'm pretty sure we all played Mass Effect. It's just like Commander Shepard. He's like all the way, like all the way to one side, like all the way to the other one. Like, cause I always like
this is
like
perfect.
Yeah, like and they're like me, like,
all the way.
exactly. There's my homeboy got no middle ground, bro. Like, cause I remember like Jay playing that game and I played. I was like, I always went like, you know what I'm saying, far right. I always wanted to be the good dude, but like the option was like, it was like, all right, let's do this, but like kind of like a bad way, but like. Jay's always like, all right, because I remember like the reporter lady who asked him something, he just punched that lady.
I punched her every time.
You know, but like, and that's the thing, like dealing with like Congress, like all of them are like millionaires. Like they already made it. They got the money, they got the power, like, and they don't want to like help their constituents. The people who got them there went out, you know, voted, got them seats, and they just like. Only like, I mean, not all of them. I'm not gonna say all of them. I'm not gonna put everybody in like a bucket, but they got the power to change stuff. And not that they refuse to do it. I don't think they do enough, you know, for as much power and responsibility that they have. And Joe Biden gonna do the same thing. Joe Biden, you know, he gonna do the same because you could tell like one of his ads I saw. Obama wasn't even like endorsing the man, but like he's just in the ad. Like, bro, come on, man. You know what you're doing, man. Like, don't do that. You know.
Has Obama said anything about any of this?
No, he hasn't.
No.
But there's just like an ad, just like it's got like Obama all in it. He just says like he's just saying good stuff about Joe Biden. It's like, bro, that's so fishy,
think so.
bro. Yeah. So, but you know that's just my little 2 cents.
To me, it just kind of.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, go, Sos.
No. It's all you, man.
I was going to say it just to specifically with the whole Obama and his ad thing. It just, man, you know, we have a very hopeful view of what people will do and what they won't do. And, you know, the idea of Joe coming through, right? The idea of his ties to Obama, because, you know, Obama had a very historic campaign. I mean, he himself changed a lot of things, and he was really at the start of this movement that has to do with social media and you know, people our age kind of coming up and really kind of sparking that young voter or that voter that wanted just something different, you know. And he made a difference as far as that goes and did it twice. The numbers were down a lot for that second term, but he still did it, right? So, you know, jumping on the back of that isn't necessarily a bad idea in and of itself. But you can, right. But you can see that if you're looking at the numbers, even, you know, from Obama's second time around, how they were lower, that someone still tied to that, they can't possibly get any higher than that. At least that's what I would think on the outside. Right. So you throw that in there, kind of trying to be on someone else's heels, and then maybe not being as original as yourself, or just even being tied to, you know, what we've kind of known as the establishment, quote unquote. Especially going up against Trump, who's kind of completely broken that because he's not what the people wanted him to be or think he is. He's something completely different, and people are still riding with that. And I just can't see a person like Joe Biden breaking into that because he looks like what we've seen before, and that just really kind of, I don't know, doesn't sit well with me. So,
yeah, and we were talking about whether, you know, Bernie would even be, you know, possible. Like, what would his presidency look like? We talked about that, like in the group chat a little bit. And one of the things that we talked about in Goob, you just kind of hit on it with the Congress stuff, is like, even if Bernie was elected, like realistically, how much of his stuff is going to get passed? You know, like it's got to go through Senate. Yeah, it's got to go through Senate. It's got to go through Congress. Like, and even like, I mean, you can go ahead and safely assume that just about anybody GOP is going to vote against him. Most of his ideas. I mean, we just saw it with an impeachment trial and with everything else. But I think that you can also safely assume that a lot of the establishment Democrats would vote the same way. And so I in a way, it kind of makes sense. To me, I guess that they're putting forward Joe Biden in that he can at least connect with a lot of those, you know, more central people. And also I think that if we're all like objective about this, I think that Bernie is much more popular, much more energetic for people of our age, and not necessarily, other demographics that are out there. So I'm not excited about that presidency. I like mainly because I've been paying attention to the whole primary, and he's done absolutely nothing up until South Carolina. He was one of the weaker people in all of the debates where we had multiple candidates up there. I don't know. And I just think that once we get him on a stage with Trump, I'm kind of worried about what that looks like, because Trump is.
I think he'll do better. I mean,
I think he'll do better strictly because of how poorly coronavirus has been handled, and other issues that have like come up with Trump. But at the same time, like we saw with
to improve on garbage.
Right. Well, but we also saw it in 2016 where the Republican Party put out safe candidate, Ted Cruz, you had what's his face, Jeb Bush was considered like the favorite going into that year. And who's heard of him since? You know what I mean? Trump just like trolled them all off the stage time and time again. And you better believe, like, when he gets up there with Joe, it's just going to be, sleepy Joe Biden.
Exactly.
He's just going to be trolling the shit out of him. And it's like, I wonder how that's going to resonate. Now, granted, not all Americans watch debates. Not all Americans give a shit about debates. But it's going to be an interesting year, man, for a lot of reasons. And one of them being, I wonder how those debates are going to go. I wonder how that election would go. I wonder, does Joe Biden see the same turnout that he's seeing in all the primaries right now? And what happens to the Bernie voters? Because Bernie's got some hardcore voters out there and some hardcore supporters. And do they stick with him? Do they back Biden when Bernie inevitably says, "Hey, I'm backing Biden"? Do those voters go, or are they just like so disgruntled and so upset with the system at that point that they just stay home, whether they're forced to from quarantine or not?
Exactly.
I don't know, man. Question. It's going to be a weird year, but again, not to keep coming back to it, I do think that if there is good news, it's that because of this this absolute epidemic that's going on right now, we might get some good news. We might get some good policy changes. I wonder how extensive they'll be, or if Joe Biden's just up there saying the right things right now to say, oh yeah, I might help with student loan debt, and I might help with this, I might take on some of his other policies. Yeah, we might do Medicare for all. I'm gonna name a woman vice president. It's like, I don't know. Is it going to be enough come November? Yeah. I think that's a very interesting question.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think for me personally, okay, let's just like concede Joe wins, right? And again, we're not burying. I already went on that tangent of we don't know what's going to happen. But I only say this because it doesn't really matter between Joe and Bernie once it gets to versus Trump. Obviously for us, I would think, and I'm only speaking for me. And I hope people understand that Joe and Bernie are both better alternatives to what we have currently. And yeah, I think that's the scary part of, are Bernie's, support just going to be mad and sit home, and all these sorts of things. But for me, how can either of them even, come close to being as bad as what we have now? I know I'm speaking from my position. Obviously, I'm liberal and all these sorts of things, but I'm just saying from the left, galvanizing the support. I would think that this is not the time to be proud. This is not the time to like throw a tantrum and sit out. And I'd hope, obviously, it sucks all this is happening. I would hope with COVID-19 and all this shit that's even magnified even more. If you're just paying attention to the shit show that's happening in the White House right now. So, I'm not trying to, I am oversimplifying it, and I know it's more complicated than this, but at the end of the day, I guess I just hope, that people realize on the left specifically that, it's not about that if you didn't get your candidate right or whatever in this particular election, it's about, getting someone out of the White House. So I guess that's how I feel about it at this point. Not knowing what's going to happen, right? Not knowing who's really going to be it.
That's a scary thought, bro. But you 100% right. But the thing is, that's what happens all the time. That's why as many people don't go out and vote now, because they're just like, well, they ain't done nothing for anybody so far. My vote's not gonna count. You know, like today I was asking like people like if they gotten their census. Man, you know how many people don't know what a census is?
Yeah.
Like ridiculous. Granted, they should definitely send them out more than 10 years apart. It should definitely be like every 2 years or 5 years or something. Because I mean that determines support money and stuff in the communities you live in, and just the way that when like Wall Street and stock market, like when they need help, it's like, bro, like let's get on it. Let's help these fools, man. Like the airline people, like we know they got billions, bro, but let's bail their ass out first, man. Not all the millions of kids that's struggling to pay student loan debt if they are paying it. Just struggling just to make them ends meet, or because I mean if it come down to it, but which it have for like a lot of people, it's like they're not gonna pay it, and like why can't they get the help? And then you got like all these other companies just they will bail them out as soon as like something happens. Auto industry, Wall Street, about to be
I mean, we saw it last week. The stocks dropped down. The stock market started dropping. They're like, "Yeah, 1.5 trillion. Here you go." And but at the same time, it's like, well, how are we going to pay for all these other things? It's like, I mean, you tell me. You seem to like pull money out of your ass anytime you need it for the stock market. So I don't know. I agreed, man. I just think that we live in a country where everybody likes to use the word socialism and use it as like a term of negativity in this country for some reason. But it's, we have socialism for the rich and for corporations and businesses, but we don't necessarily have it for the people themselves, which is, I think, what it was intended for. And that's, I don't know, that's why we're in the situation we are today. And kind of like what you were saying, people, you live in a state where your vote almost doesn't matter. And it's crazy. You bring up the point all the time about how many people don't vote in their own best interest. How many people vote in the complete opposite, realm of their interest because they don't do the research. They don't like look up this stuff. They don't like you said, man, you got your phone right there. Just look it up. Just do the research, find out the facts. Don't take my advice. Don't take our advice. Don't take anybody's advice. Go out and research it. And if you find what's best for you is to vote, GOP Republican, that's fine. Cool. I don't necessarily agree with that, but if that's your standpoint and that's what you came out of your research, that's fine. At least you're educated. At least you did your thing. But when people just blindly say, my parents vote Republican, so I'm voting Republican. My parents vote Democrat, so I'm voting Democrat. It's like, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah, it's I really want to fight people when they say that.
Yeah, I'm like, man, like just please do some research or don't vote. One or the other. Like, if you don't know who you're voting for and what they're about, then please just sit home. Like, because you're only going to do yourself and your own community more harm than good if you're not doing the research.
Right.
So do we think that people would vote for Bernie if they actually broke down his politics, I suppose, and didn't just vote for the person the media is kind of talking about all of a sudden?
I think that America has been conditioned to believe that socialism is a bad thing, and I don't think that. However, I think that they would vote for literally all the programs he's putting forward. Because everybody seemed to massively support it when it was Elizabeth Warren's thing, but then again, she doesn't carry around the old S word with her, so and also she has a better way of explaining it that doesn't sound like an 80-year-old grumpy man.
Listen, I love the way he explained it. That shit be getting me hype.
I mean, me too. But he's been doing it since like the 70s. So it's the same thing. So. But yeah, I don't know. I just think that people in the States are so conditioned to believe that socialism is bad, and it's like, yeah, well then why are all the other developed countries in the world doing it and it's working pretty well for them? Why are they taking care of their people and we aren't?
Yeah.
And I think
pull ourselves up by the bootstraps. That's one of the dumbest things I ever heard in the world.
Right. And it just comes down to doing research again. Research other countries. And I also, just a little bit of a sidebar. I think that America is a very bubbled country. I think that everybody kind of grows up in their bubble. A lot of them don't really leave it. A lot of them don't really expose themselves to new ideas, new cultures, new things. And in the process, they kind of they don't learn what they need to learn, man. They don't experience new things or see other ways of life, how other people are struggling, what we could do for other people. They see it strictly from their own bubble, and you see the results.
You can't tell them mission trip churches that, though. They swear they're doing the Lord's work. Yes, let's go and teach these children about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
Right. Let's spread the good word, eh?
Yes, he will cure you of all of your diseases.
And also sign you up for the NRA.
Give you a permit to legally carry a weapon. But I'm just saying, if everybody sit down and they were to take a political quiz to see where they fall on the spectrum, I guarantee you they will vote for Bernie. I guarantee you their eyes will be wide the fuck open. It need to be a holiday, and this shit will be different. The people who can go vote are now, I know I can speak from experience or privilege. I can afford, if I need to take off work. Say if I can't get to the poll, I usually go before I go to work. I'm usually the first one there. At least the first 20 people at 7:20. I'm in there, smiling like a damn fool, get my ID, get my damn ballot, I vote, turn that shit in, and I go to work. But if people can't make that, bro, there are people who work, 2 jobs, and they can't afford to take off. Even if it's 10, 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? You got to take off work. You got to drive to the poll. You got to drive back.
2 times every other year. It's really kind of crazy, right? Because we have way more bullshit holidays, especially for government workers. I was one of them, so
bro, I am a bank employee, and yeah.
So many bullshit holidays, but we can't take, in 2020, take 2 days, your primary day and your general election day, to let people decide their fate, and
right.
It sounds dramatic, but at the same time, if you're not going to give people information, or at least properly, that is, and then expect them to make this decision, you're going to keep them in a cycle. And that kind of, that does sting a little bit, because, no one wants to be the conspiracist. No one wants to say that, the man's trying to keep us down, or all this bullshit like that. But when you really do think about it, sometimes it's probably a little bit harder than it needs to be. And whereas you brought up a good point too, just looking at the ballots, what the fuck is even here? Just kind of how things are laid out, or just what things are kind of looking at. It's I don't know. I feel like we're kind of trapped in a system that we are just supposed to understand, which is kind of a weird thing about, I guess, adulthood. It's, no one really teaches you all the fine things, balance your checkbook, also the bullshit. We don't really do that anymore. But for example, and then you're just supposed to kind of get it. And you have a government that is by the people, for the people, but it seems like the people are kind of the last people to get the memo, and that, I don't know. It seems pretty backwards if you ask me.
But I can do that Pythagorean theorem, though, like nobody business, boy.
But I can do some long division for y'all.
What's up, bruh? Yeah.
PEMDAS.
Checkbook. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so we've covered a little bit here. We've kind of been a little all over the place, which I think is good, because this topic is very open, I suppose, and trying to get to all of our thoughts, especially with the coronavirus, and then just the election itself. It's a lot to kind of take in. So do we think that if Biden has the people, if Biden has the ideas, that he himself can get us there? Let's take away, him being a meme or whatever like that. Do we have any confidence that he can be that person with the people behind him and their best interest in mind? For example, I suppose, I'm not a Donald Trump supporter at all. I think he's a clown. But I did recognize that, he has personality traits that can be taken to be a good leader. Now, I don't feel like he's kind of shown them. I feel like he takes the low road most times. He's a jerk. He's just kind of a mean-spirited dude. I don't really like that. Especially compared to Obama, which you can say what you want, but I always thought Obama was a good kind of guy. But with Trump, and he still is, right. But with Trump, I felt that at least he has some kind of fire, whether that's good or bad. I kind of admire that to a certain extent. Okay, well, this person's going to do something, whether that's the right thing or not, or whether or not he's going to listen to someone, he's going to do it and kind of have some convictions. So do we think that Biden has that in him if he were to go be up against Trump?
Really, man. Gut feeling though. But like it ain't even like it's. I think he would stand a chance, like a better stand on like the debate stage. But it's just his Trump like base, the people that just like believe in him. It's just
kind of give him the fuel, I suppose.
Like like if you print out a speech that Trump did and you say it in your own voice, bruh, you sound like a fucking lunatic. Like you would think that you are high on drugs, and it's so incoherent. It don't even make sense.
But he sells it somehow. Though.
But he sells it. It's like one of those things. Like I used to tell my little brother, like, no, I'm just kidding. Like if you, I tell my little brothers, like when we was young, if you believe it, it's not a lie, and that's what Donald Trump does. Like I
definitely think that's what he does to his base. Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though, like, I like you saying that, and I think obviously all of us when we hear him talk, we do think he's on something, and think we do hear all those things. Like, I don't think he sells it at all. I think he sounds like a crazy person, but that's
not
where we are.
The motherfuckers at the damn rally, they don't think so. And like, shit, say the same shit over, bro.
Man, I would think I have a feeling though. I mean, maybe not people at the rally. That's probably his extreme people, but. Man, it's kind of weird thinking about it because I think a lot of people may see through it as well. It's a bit of both,
right.
Kind of buying in it, but then also not being down with it, but still at the kind of core of it thinking that they want something different. And I guess the question really is, in his being the same, can he reach those people who are across there to kind of come to him?
Yeah. I mean, he's a TV, like he's from TV, and I think
right.
This might even be more of a bit of a, I don't know, trying to understand the other side from a sense that from what I feel like I hear from the right and from Trump support, that is able to excuse that, just who he is and how he is, on a mic or in front of a camera is he's from TV. It's all a show, right? It's we know it's all fake. We know like we love The Apprentice, like he's acting. He's,
we know
it. Yeah, we're in on the joke with him, right? And I think that's kind of a sad thing because I think the majority, those people aren't in on the joke with him because I think he's just as much taking advantage of them as he's taking advantage of people that don't like him and don't support him. So that's a talk for another time. But just in the sense of what you're asking, Jay, of Joe versus Trump, like. I do. Do I feel confident about it? Like, I'll be full disclosure. I wanted Elizabeth. I like Bernie better than Joe. Like, I don't have a problem sharing that. But at the same time, if it's going to be Joe, like, yes, I do think he can beat Trump. Yes, I do think he's better than Trump. Like, do I see videos of him being older and maybe, showing signs of, just not as sharp and debates and what have you? Sure. Does that stuff worry me? Sure. At the end of the day, do I think he's going to struggle on a debate stage with Trump? I don't feel that way as in the sense that like, I know Trump made Jeb Bush and Ted Cruz look really dumb, but I don't think that's that hard. So
no, it's not.
And I think, I think when Joe does get up to Trump, I think, like I said, I don't feel confident and I'm not sitting here and feeling like super, there are things about him that, that will worry me and all these sorts of things. But yes, I think if I have to answer the question now, I do feel like he's prepared, and I do think he's, agree with all the things he stands for. Do I? No, not necessarily. Is he the candidate I want to know? But yes, to answer your question, I do think he's plenty formidable for Trump. If everyone falls in behind him, I do think. And maybe that's more hope than thinking logically, but I guess that's just how I feel about it.
What you got from Stokes?
That's a one for two.
Yeah, I would say that. Same thing I was saying earlier. I just don't know. And Rage, you make the point of Ted Cruz and Jeb Bush, how hard is it to make fun of them? But I'd say, hey, Joe Biden's in the same race for me. I mean,
yeah, see, I agree. I would just for the record, I wouldn't put him as low as them. But yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and I would agree to an extent.
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that like an intelligence level. But what I am saying is like he's part of an establishment of his party, the same as they were, and he is like kind of the chosen one at this point. Whether it be through funding or whether it be through coerced efforts or whatever else, like it's happening, and he's probably going to be the guy. And I could see Trump just trolling the hell out of him. And also, I mean, I'd like to point out that we all probably felt fairly confident that 2016 was a wrap, and that Hillary was just going to walk away with things. At all. And
that was so scary.
Well, I was a little suspect with that as well, but I think that most of the country, like in all the pre-polls, yes. So to speak, she was like dominant.
You looked at what the media was saying,
right? Yeah, and it just wasn't the case at all. I'm like, anyways, I don't know. I wonder how he'll do on a debate stage. I do think that he has the aid of, presumably at that point, everybody backing him on the Democratic side. And I do think that he has the aid, albeit an unfortunate aid, of this coronavirus thing going on and Trump handling it so poorly. Yeah. I think that that's a major aid for him. The stock market crashing is a major aid for him. All of these are major things that point to a Trump demise. But again, the Trump voter base, for the most part, is not really like a wavering thing. I don't really see them. It's really more the independent voters and I guess the people who stayed home last time. And I think that you're kind of seeing it in the primaries, where the turnout is way higher than it was, in 2016 primaries, which bodes well for them. But again, who knows until we get to November? Who knows until they get on debate stage together? And really, another thought on all this, we talked about, we wonder how it's going to work out. Honestly, if Florida and Illinois are like the two of the biggest states remaining, and if they both go Biden's way, which it looks like they have at this point tonight, I could honestly see, especially with them delaying all these other primaries, I could honestly see Bernie saying, you know what, it's time to unify behind this coronavirus thing, behind all this, and just go all in on Biden, and rather than delay the Democratic nomination until August or something, and then give Biden 2 months to prep, It's like I could totally see Bernie being a team player and saying, hey, like, let's go ahead and do this thing, but we're going to have some serious talks for the next few months. And you're going to have to adopt some policies.
That's a strong move and a strong idea. And I would love that because, to go back to, Hillary going up against Trump, I felt like, we know now, obviously, the media was completely behind her. It was all against Trump. Same thing now. As far as who we want in the office. We didn't want Trump. We thought we weren't going to get Trump, but we did. And the voter turnout was, heavily in his favor. We can go into, popular vote, all that shit like that for Hillary as well. But the kind of fact of the matter is that there were still a lot of people out there who were just not going to do anything. And as far as that goes, if people who are just going to vote for Bernie, or not, sorry, I keep saying Bernie, for Biden were to come out, then yeah, he can get it, I feel like that would outweigh the people who would do it. But I feel like those people definitely want to vote for Trump, but then they're also just like, I don't think I'm going to be heard. Like, that's the kind of people that he kind of needs to get behind him. And I feel like, if with Bernie, a different kind of media push this time, not one that's like, rah, 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 we're going to win, but more like, no, we need you kind of a deal, more of a pleading. I think that's kind of the only thing that he really could put up against that, because Trump's, like Warriors have said a bunch of times now, Trump's people are just they're so out there, and I don't want to, call people crazy, but they're ready.
They dedicated, man.
Dedicated, yeah, right. They got a fever to them. They're hyped. They're excited. They want to do, and that's what that's what he's got. He's got that excitement behind him, and I think Biden can get that. I think he can be more than just the meme, or more than just the whatever the best
Uncle
friend
Joe,
or whatever it is, the Uncle Joe. If we're told about it, we can swing this our way, or the other way, the Democratic way, if we really kind of put something behind it. But that's going to take a all hands on deck kind of situation, and definitely no complacency, right? We can't come in there, thinking that we have it, because the numbers are up, like you said, Stokes. I'm actually kind of surprised by it, to be honest, the numbers that have been coming out from the primaries. But, they're going to really need to work to hold that kind of attention, because with the coronavirus, summer is going to be a long time. If this goes on for another month or so, which it probably will, people are going to be exhausted at the end of it. And depending on what they do with it, whether we are better with it or worse with it, then there's going to be even more discontent with the government. And that just kind of scares me as far as what people think they can actually make change by their voices.
Sure. And I mean, you thought voter suppression was a thing before. Now we have a potential quarantine going on in November. Like, buckle up, man. It's going to be a weird one.
Everybody gonna be voting from home. Everybody going to do mail-in ballots.
Hey, I'm for it.
Let's do it.
Okay, we hit a lot of things so far. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll come back, hit on some more coronavirus stuff. War is going to talk about Mitch McConnell, and we're going to see why the hell the airlines are getting bailed out, but not my student loans. So stick with us. We'll be right back.
So today's episode is brought to you by our artistic friends over at Bluff City Boners, your one-stop shop for all Dick-themed artwork. Be sure to check them out and give them a follow over on Instagram at Bluff City Boners, or check out their online store on Etsy at Bluff City Boners. That's all one word, where you can find stickers and more. We'd also like to give a shout out to our official artist, Allie McCommon, who does all of our logos, podcast artwork, merch design, etc. Allie does a ton of artwork, including paint, print, digital, and more. Hit her up for commissions of whatever you're looking for. And check out her stuff online at her website at www.AllisonMcCommonArt.com, where you'll find links to all of her social media, Etsy shop, and all that good stuff. Check her out.
And we're back. We got the political episode of the Oblivious Pod coming in with you guys. I've been going for a little bit about Bernie and Biden and Trump and the coronavirus, all this good stuff. It's been a good chat so far. Man, it's so funny, we're just kind of getting at it before. We had all these plans, all this stuff kind of laid out. And this podcast has been delayed a couple times, but, we came in here with our political talks ready, and then the coronavirus kind of just hit us upside the head. And it's been really hard not to think about anything else, to be honest with you.
Just had to throw it all out the window. I mean, originally we had it scheduled for Super Tuesday recap?
Yep.
Then it became a Big Tuesday recap, and then it became a somber quarantine Tuesday recap. So 2 for Tuesday.
Just to let you know how fast things are moving right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but this is good. I mean, I'm glad we're finally doing this, because this really opens up the door, and you guys, way more than me, have a lot of shit to say about all this stuff, and talking about it gets me amped up too. And
that's what I feel like. I did until now.
Oh,
I don't know. I mean, I still have things to say, but I'm just saying, and I feel like I've probably said this it's like the third time I'm saying it in a different way. It's just I don't feel it's just like everything's different now.
It almost feels irrelevant at this point.
Yeah, it does. It does. It really, everything that I thought a week ago about this, not that saying like certain things aren't still true or whatever, but it's none of it's really is, because it didn't have COVID-19 in the backdrop, and that's what our reality is now. So and it's all very new. It's it's what we're 5 days into. Really like the what is so far been the height of it really ramping up. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to take time. I think this is obviously a topic we're going to come back to as a group probably pretty frequently. And so, yeah, I think it's just all still sinking in, and all still, it's all just, it's all just kind of swirling right now in the mental mind. So, it's interesting. I keep on ending like things I said. I don't know. Like, I just don't know what to say sometimes, just because it's all so new, and just still trying to kind of like catch it all, I guess.
Yeah. Nothing we really can say, bro.
Yeah.
Overall, how do you think, I mean, obviously we can do things better, but, is there anything you guys want specifically to happen, right now as far as the kind of the COVID response goes?
We'd shut it down, man. I mean, I think if you look at like other countries who have really experienced it on like a widespread basis, like they're quarantining, man. They're locking it down. Like I love all the videos from Italy where it's like everybody, like I saw one last night where it's this, they like a DJ on a balcony and like the whole like apartment complex is like hype and they're all just like
very cool.
Everybody's just locked down in their apartment.
Did you see the video of Cesc Fabregas?
No, what's he doing?
What was he saying? I watched it, but I didn't know.
He went out on his balcony and he just goes like, "Hello, neighbors." And some guy goes, "Fuck you." He's like, "Fuck you, neighbors."
Wait, did you say Trevor Noah or Cesc Fabregas?
Cesc Fabregas, the soccer
player. Okay. I know Trevor Noah did it too. And like the guy was like, "Shut the fuck up."
Yeah. I just thought it was funny. It made me laugh. A lot of great. That's the thing, man. Like we've been like, doom and gloom, and it's easy to, find a dark cloud to sit under in this time. But man, the internet's still there for you. You can say what you want about it, but get on do yourself a favor, get on TikTok, get some memes.
You're always stumping for TikTok out here. What the fuck?
Look, man,
hey, bro, are they like
great original content.
It's
modern day Vine. Like I'm just saying, like y'all sleeping. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, like it is also very encouraging and beautiful to see like people supporting each other. See like what that, and I know you're asking more about like specific things that the government's going to doing, and my biggest thing right now is just like widespread testing. Widespread testing. Let us get some tests.
What
for the masses?
Virus? What?
Well, if only we weren't trying to privatize all the test kits.
Right, exactly. I guess that's the one I'm gonna throw out there. But more so for me, I'm just like, be nice to each other. Just even people you don't like, people you don't agree with, Trump supporters, like that's what I want to see. Again, I don't know. Maybe I'll cut out a snippet of John Oliver's kind of end of his monologue to kind of put at the end of this, just because I thought it was so. I haven't seen it said a better way. But what I want to see is we've obviously seen that Trump is out of his wits and he's out of his depth, and he's already caused damage by not being prepared, by releasing the group, I forget the name of it, but he fired basically the group that would
the pandemic response team.
Yeah, the pandemic response team. It's like you cannot argue with the fact that this man is causing damage by his incompetence. And so that in and of itself kind of should tell us as a people that it's kind of on us to take care of each other and to figure this out. And we can, and that's the thing. We can all do that by, making sure we are social distancing, and it's not for you. I'm a 30-year-old male. Like I'm not, as vulnerable and all these sorts of things, but it's not about me. It's about the people I'm going to come in contact with. It's about, the people that are vulnerable. And really the way we're going to beat this is as a group of people, doing the right things on a consistent basis until the dust settles. So, that's, I think more than anything, that's what I want to see is people making sure they're looking out for each other. And because that's, I think, the only way, that's the best way and the most efficient way we get through this. And
I think one of the weirdest things to me about this whole thing is just how it's been local and state governments being the best ones responding at this. Like the most proactive and the most like getting shit done is local and state governments. It's like, how is this the world that we live in? But to answer your question, Jay, in terms of like what we hope come of it, I hope for the meantime we shut it down and we take the lead of every other developed country in the world and take this seriously and just like lock it down. Everybody stay home. Hey, let's get on Xbox. Let's play some games we need to catch up on. Animal Crossing drops this Friday. Yeah, make some podcasts. Animal Crossing is dropping Friday.
Animal Crossing Doom are coming out. Yeah, people about to be
on the
shut up anyway.
Same day. Yeah, so mine's pre-ordered, man. It's coming straight to my apartment. So shout out to the Amazon and FedEx and UPS and USPS people who are out there delivering packages to my house while I'm self-quarantining. But
the real heroes out here,
right? See, but real MVP.
But I mean, I think I've said it a couple of times in this chat. The biggest thing I hope comes from this is long-term change. I hope that we get some better healthcare in the country. I hope that we can take care of the people who maybe don't have health insurance. At the very least, maybe it's not Medicare for all. Maybe we don't go all in on the Bernie plan, so to speak. But maybe we come up with something that takes care of the people who don't have private insurance, or the people who don't have insurance through their work. Take care of those people. Take care of, make paid sick leave a thing. Because like the restaurant industry, there's so many industries out there just getting ravaged by this, and people who don't have that guaranteed income in these kind of times. And it's just like, man, we got to do something to help the people out. I think we've shown that we're willing.
Shout out to the freelancers out here right now.
Right. Shout out to
I've already had jobs. Just real quickly, because I am full disclosure, I am a freelancer, and just for solidarity, like I've had jobs canceled already. Like it's it's a thing, and I'm not. It's not unique to me. I know a lot of contractors and people, and that's just one of the many professions that is going to be tough in this time. So,
yeah, I mean, people don't necessarily
that don't have the guarantee
when they're
income.
not open, and it sucks. It sucks for everybody. Shout out to Wingstop for staying open, doing delivery and carry out.
Shout out to Uber Eats.
Absolutely, but you can't go in there.
I can't go in there, but I can still eat the kind of food I want to eat, baby.
They was like, no, bro, please don't come up here.
But yeah, I'm hoping to see some healthcare changes. I'm hoping to see a shift. We've shown that we're willing to take care of, the stock market. We've shown now that it's coming out that we're going to take care of an airline industry that frequently like reinvest their profits into their own stocks to inflate their stocks. Like
exactly.
I think that we're getting to the point to where like it has to be about human rights. It has to, surely that's the next thing. And if it's not, maybe, maybe it has to get a little bit darker. Maybe we have to just really descend into the depths before a better age comes, whether it be in November or whenever the next election comes about or whenever. I just think that hopefully, although it's bleak right now, hopefully some positive changes are on the way.
So Wars, you're the money man. You're our dollars and cents kind of guy. Is that feasible? Okay. It would have to be taxes back to us, right? Or how does bailout money work? Like, is bailout money just made up money? Now, I'm really on the cynical side here because I know that our country's in complete debt and that we're printing money like at whatever because we just can.
Why not?
But of course, why not? But I'm saying. Is that a feasible thing for us to get some of these wishes, the bailouts that the big companies are getting, or the student loan forgiveness? Now, Trump is talking about it. He just said he wanted $1 trillion to give to the people, and I think 250 billion he wanted for the American people. But like, kind of where does that money come from? And will we get a hit on that later, or is this like a handout kind of thing? If you have answers, you have answers. If not. That's also okay.
No, I don't. On that one, I'm not 100% sure, but I just always say, "Do you pay taxes?" All right, then that's where it come from.
Right, so they come from us eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, at least that's from what I've heard from the financial. We have like financial advisor dudes that work with us, and they just think somebody always want to hear about like the stock market. I'm just like, cool, bro, cool. But at least that's what they've told me. That's where it comes from. But I mean, it's feasible. I mean, like you just cut spending somewhere else. I mean, I ain't gonna say where because I don't want people to.
We know where
people try to find me. Want to like fight. But whatever. But it's there. It's there. I mean, it can be done. Like Stowe said. Other developed countries all around the world do it.
I mean, they
take care of the people, but like
you could just maybe not have a space force,
Yeah,
Shouts out to Space Force.
Exactly. Like my job now, it's like they ask like for suggestions about like what we should be doing, and like we'll tell them, but the thing is they gonna always want to make that bottom dollar, man. If they don't see like a way to make something. Like they're not gonna like change it because like even if we shut down like the bank, like granted we can't because like if the Federal Reserve is open, we have to be open. If like the Federal Reserve they shut down, then like we can do it, but the thing is like it just says the entire bank can't close down. It doesn't say like just the lobby, so we can technically just keep like the drive-through open and the bank is still open. And, we can still do almost all of the tasks, but like I feel like bad because they sent. I don't know if I told you. They sent us like an email like anybody who has like a laptop more than welcome to like work remotely from home. I'm like, bro, the people who have laptops don't like deal with the like customers. They're like customer facing like all the time. And like, what kind of douche would I be just like to work from home while like they're like working, like people are coming in like spreading germs and shit. Like, bro, I feel like the biggest piece of shit.
No, that's pretty good of you, man. A lot of people wouldn't do that. They wouldn't they would probably leave the people to be honest with you.
Like that's crazy. Like, and all the people who like the financial advisors and the private wealth people, all of them have laptops, but bro, they don't see people. Like the only time they see people is like when we like ask like clients and customers like, hey, do you want to speak with a financial advisor, maybe like invest you some money, but like they don't like actively go looking for it. Like, bro, like y'all ain't like at risk. Like what? They someone like, oh, we don't even want to get a rental car. Like, bitch, we ain't worried about no rental car. We got motherfuckers coming up in here coughing and shit.
It's a microcosm of what's happening everywhere else, right? I mean, the people who are able are getting the help, but the people who aren't are kind of left out in the cold.
Yeah, so I think they listen to some of the stuff we said. 'Cause on Thursday we just going to like drive through only. So at least that like minimize the risk and stuff that we're dealing with like the public, which I'm very happy about.
Okay. All right. Well, we covered a lot of ground here. If you guys haven't picked up on it yet, we're pretty left leaning here over at Oblivious.
We're some liberal shits.
Yeah, we're some liberal shits. Bunch of early 30-somethings just trying to hope for the best and be as idealistic as possible, I suppose. But yeah, that's what we're feeling here. We're hopeful, it seems like, from everybody, what's going to happen. We think that we do have a lot of work to do, obviously, as far as getting behind Biden, who seems to be almost certainly going to be the man who's going to go up against Trump. A lot of work to do there. A lot of work to do with the coronavirus as far as figuring out the exact plan, and then also a lot of work as far as getting people information with that, and then the campaigns themselves, because that's really only going to be the way we're going to make any change as far as getting Trump out of office, and then also making sure people aren't sick and dying anymore across the world. So yeah, that's kind of where we are. A lot to talk to in there, but I feel like this is going to be an ongoing thing, and it's going to be kind of hard to not check in as we go into other episodes. I'm not sure if we'll have any political episodes coming up super soon, but we will. I definitely want this to be an open conversation that we kind of keep coming back to talk about. And of course, Corona will be there. So definitely stay tuned with all those kind of thoughts. And for you guys out there listening to us, we'll be launching super soon. If you're hearing us, just be kind of safe where you are, and, practice washing your hands, man. And also
nasty ass people.
If you can stay inside, stay inside, all the good stuff like that. It's not just about you, like Ray said, it's about everyone that's around you. So yeah, I'm just trying to wrapping this up a little bit, guys. You can jump in here as you want to if you got any kind of closing statements. But just to kind of give everyone a heads up, as you're hearing us, we're going to be kind of moving into a regular schedule. So, check back in with us for the next episode, which will be probably more light on the topics, I would suppose. A little more roundtable kind of topics. It'll be a mixed bag, so that'd be kind of fun for y'all.
And just really quickly, I think, also, we've been like down and like a little sobering or what have you, but like I said, I'm glad we still, we didn't just say, all right, we're gonna do. The world doesn't stop, even though it feels that way, I think. But like just specifically on the podcast and this being new, and we're still excited about doing it, and we're excited to have a good time doing it. And with the Star Wars series, with the Final Fantasy series, we're gonna we're gonna continue to do that. And I hope everyone else continues to find joy in things and continues to live your life. Even if you're at home with your loved ones, treasure the time you get to spend with them. It's a silver lining to it, and it's okay to say that. So we're gonna have a good time. We're all, like you said, like Jay said in the opening. We've already been practicing social distancing pretty well. We're pretty good at it already.
I'm very good at it.
So yeah, I think we can all agree with that, and that's kind of what's brought us together to do this podcast before any of this stuff happened. So sitting in our own walks of life and coming together to hang out and talk about things and do that sort of thing. So I'm excited to continue to do that, and we're gonna have a good time, and we're excited for what's to come, COVID-19 or not. So Yeah.
Any closing thoughts, words for me?
Man, listen, that's all I got for you, buddy.
Okay. Hey, easy peasy. What you got for me, Stokes?
Stop buying all the toilet paper. This shit does not cause you to shit your pants. COVID-19 does not cause you to shit your pants. Stop buying all the toilet paper. Save some for everybody else. It really just practice social decency as well, man. Not just social distancing, but just be fucking decent to your people, man. There's no need for you people acting like assholes. Like, we're all going through the same shit out here, man. Everybody's inconvenienced by this. With the exception of us introverts who are just loving every minute of it. But and also, I think Rage hit it pretty well. If anything, this is a moment to value what you got with your loved ones, with your friends, with your family, whoever. For me, I want to give a shout out to my work family. I'm currently our full-time staff is going in, and that's it. All of our part-time staff, and I've got like 70 part-time employees, and like I'm not seeing any of them, until this thing is up, and it sucks. I miss those guys and girls. So shout out to all of them. I'll see all of you soon, hopefully. But yeah, wherever any listeners are, take care of yourself. Wash your hands. Stop being a nasty ass. Just be nice to the people around you, and just stay abreast of everything that's going on. Be a decent human being. Yeah, be a decent human being, and just read some shit in the meantime. Use this downtime to like educate yourself on the election and all this stuff.
I've been playing some really good FIFA.
Let's fucking go.
Hey, I've been playing some really good COD Warzone. Let's go.
Also, shouts out to COD Warzone.
Battle Royale.
Bit of personal advice, stay off of Twitter. It's just the worst. It's just bad news after bad news.
I was talking to somebody about that the other day. Like, obviously, I'm going to get on Twitter because but yes, like, you can't just sit there and scroll. It's not good for your brain.
Put a 15-minute limit on it a day or something.
You got to put it down.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What you got?
That's a good ending point. So yeah, man, we're gonna be here with you guys for the good and the bad. Every episode won't be as with the happy subjects, but we're gonna deal with it all, right? We're gonna talk about the kind of down stuff, the kind of good stuff, everything in between. So definitely stay with us for all that. Things you guys can look out for. We got the Oblivious Podcast presents a Star Wars podcast, still rolling on strong. Once you guys finish this one, hop over there. We'll have a few episodes up for you. In the timeline of this recording, next up, we're going into Solo. So if you guys are listening to that, then you have that to look forward to. And then a little teaser, we're going to start spinning up sometime soon Dustin Stokes' Final Fantasy podcast. We'll have it out probably around the time that Final Fantasy 15 remake launches, which is mid-April.
7 remake. You said 15.
Oh, I said 15. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna drive up to Chicago and slap that.
7 remake. Sorry. My notes are bad here. I can't see. But yeah, so we're probably spending up around that time. We try to stay topical around here. So yeah. So more Star Wars and some Final Fantasy. Look forward to everybody out there. But yeah, other than that, thanks for joining us. For Stokes, for Goob, for Rage, I'm Jay. We are Oblivious, and we're out. Peace.
Bye.
The Oblivious Podcast is brought to you by Chris Rowland, Dustin Stokes, LaQuinza Morgan, and me, Jay Johnson. We write, produce, and host all content. The show is recorded remotely from Meridian, Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee, Jackson, Mississippi, and Chicago, Illinois. To contribute to the show or just to say hello, you can find us at obliviouspod.com. There you will also find a link to our Patreon. Our email is obliviouspod@gmail.com, Instagram @obliviouspod, and Twitter @obliviouspod1. To contact us individually, you can find us on Twitter @RageICan, @LaQuinza, and @ObliviousStokes. I'll be on Instagram @Chuki.